Okay, so here we have our worksheet of people who work in the company, and you see this is sorted by department in column C. And let's say we want to make a printout, and we want to give the head of each department a list of all the people in their department. So we want to make one page for the executive and another page for finance department, another page for graphics department, and so on. Well, let's take a look at Print Preview. You could either press Control P or click the File tab to go into Backstage View and click Print. And now we can see, all right, this looks fine. Now there's 2 pages, so go down over here and click this arrow to look at page 2. But on page 2, we can't see what any of those titles are, so it's kind of hard to read. And if we go back here, we can see, again, all of the departments are printed on the same page, which isn't quite what we want. So you could just press the Escape key so we're back to the Home tab. What we want to do is put in a page break before each department. So let's click on the first person here in the Finance department. And page breaks are something that we insert. So let's put in page breaks. So click here on the Page Layout tab, choose Breaks, and insert a page break. And you see that we now have the dotted line across. Well, let's try that again. Let's go to the first person in the Graphics department, click Breaks, and insert page breaks. Well, if you have a long worksheet and you want to put in a lot of page breaks, this gets really old really fast. So Excel has a great feature that will repeat the last thing you did. And it also works in the other Office programs. To repeat the last thing you did, all you have to do is press the F4 key on the keyboard. So let's go over here. Here's the first person in Human Resources. Press F4, and that puts in a page break because the last thing we did was a page break. Scroll down, click before the first person in IT, press the F4 key. The first person in Marketing, press F4. Click the first person in Sales and press F4. Now, let me repeat because it's very important. The F4 key is not the shortcut to insert a page break. The F4 key will simply repeat the last thing you did. So if I click something and make it bold, and I click somewhere else and press F4, it makes that bold also. I'll just press Control Z a couple of times to undo. So that's a very handy feature to know. Anyway, let's look at our Print Preview. Go back to the File tab and Print. Okay, so now we have everybody in the Executive department, and you see we now have 7 pages. And click through. Well, we have everybody in Finance and everybody in Graphics and the other departments, but we don't have those headers there, so we have to find some way of doing that. So again, just press the Escape key. So we're back in the Page Layout tab and click Print Titles. And this brings us into the Page Setup dialog box in the Sheet tab. And you see over here it says Rows to Repeat at top. Click in there, and now let's select down the row headers from row 1 down to row 4. And you see this is repeating at the top, row 1 to row 4, and you see that's absolute reference. Don't worry about that. Click OK. Now, it doesn't look like anything's changed here, but let's go back to the Print Preview. I'll just press Control P. So here's page 1, looks the same as it did before, but now when you click through, here's page 2, the Finance department, click again, Graphics department, Human Resources, and so on. Now, I had mentioned in an earlier movie that you can split the screen into top and bottom, left and right halves. That has nothing to do with printing. So if you want multiple pages to have repeating rows at the top, you need to use this feature of putting in print titles.